Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of Geotab Connect 2020. We do have a very tightly squeezed room here, so I do kindly request all of you to squeeze into the middle as much as possible so folks that arrive can get a seat towards the end of it. Thank you very much. And I hope to have a great afternoon today, just like all of you have been having for the last day and a half. I would like to introduce to you Sherry Calkins from Geotab and Kristy Lightfoot from GM, and they're here to talk about the Geotab and GM partnership. The stage is all yours, Sherry, and go ahead.
All right. Hopefully I'm all mic'd up, ready to go. How was lunch, everyone? Good. Well, really, really excited to be able to share with you today the big announcement of our new integration with GM, General Motors. Really excited. This has been a long time in the making. I know a lot of you have been asking us for years, when's this coming? When's it happening? It's here. Today is the day. We officially are launching the program. So stay tuned as well. About 2 o'clock today, we're going to have a bunch of PR announcements. Our PR team's been working really hard, so please reshare, tweet, etc. We're really excited to be able to offer this great integrated solution for you. So as noted, I'm Sherry Calkins, VP of Strategic Partners, and I've been working with General Motors for the good part of a few years to get this off and running. So a few announcements I want to make before we get into everything. First, in the mobile app, there are a few questions that I have in there. I'd really appreciate it if you could answer those. There are 3 survey questions. Will take you 1 second. So everybody right now, pull out your phones, get into the app, and answer those 3 questions. Second thing is the mobile game. You can see the number down there. I know that's really important to a few of you in the room, maybe many of you in the room. So there is the code. If you want to use that, it's on every slide. And then the third and final thing is Q&A. We're expecting a lot of questions. I know this is the first time all of you are hearing this information. So we want to hold Q&A to the end. If we run out of time in the room, we'll move out to the hallway and continue on with some discussion. So with that, let's get started. All right, so today what we want to do, of course, we're announcing this officially, the Geotab Integrated Solution for General Motors. We're going to define the partnership and what that means. We'll talk about the benefits and the solutions and what that means to you as customers and partners, and all the great attributes that come with the data and this proprietary GM data. How you can use this data also within the GM platform, and then we'll talk about how you activate and enroll the program, because it is a little different than what you're traditionally used to using our Go devices. And then as always, we have tons of support documents. I've got those linked in here as well. We'll go through that, and then we're going to finalize it with Kristy coming up. She's going to talk to you about some really cool new features coming available from General Motors and give you a roadmap to the future of what they're doing as well. So I kind of want to start out a little bit about why this is important to our ecosystem. OEMs have been exploring commercial platforms for many, many years, and GM is no exception to that, right? General Motors has been the forefront of connectivity for 2 decades. So they've got a lot of history, but all manufacturers are doing that today. You can see here some of the statistics around this from Berg Insight. This is the future, right? This is where we're moving to. And they're looking for the OEM Telematics embedded solution to be at 258 million units by 2023. So we feel very fortunate at Geotab to be ahead of the curve from some of our competition, and we intend to keep doing that. So really excited about this. You can see the market growth in different regions. We are going to be expanding this partnership as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is why this is so important, and these relationships mean so much to all of us here in this room. So let's talk a little bit about what this is about. Again, this is a GM factory equipment embedded solution. It is part of the OnStar system that many of you know and probably use today within your fleets as well. So this is a GM hardware. There is no Go device. There is no installation. This does give us access to that proprietary GM-specific data that you just can't get from the Go device. Certainly, we get a lot of rich data. This is going to give us a lot more from these GM vehicles. It also brings all that data into one platform. I think that's the beauty of what we do at Geotab, is bringing this ecosystem of partners and solutions all into the platform. There's no difference with General Motors. This is going to be the same thing. And it gives you that power of that platform as well. So as far as vehicles that it supports, it does go back to model year 2015. Of course, all new vehicles today also have that, and anything that's built without the OnStar hardware would not be eligible for this, of course. So what we're asking you to do is, if you have 2015 or newer GM vehicles, send us your VIN list, and we will help get that validated and let you know what vehicles have this technology that you can turn on and start using. So what this means to you, certainly having that embedded solution, it's easy. There's no activation. There's no downtime of the vehicle. You're not having to install it at an upfitter or install after the solution. It's coming already factory fit and ready to go. Bringing that, your assets, the GM information, your Go device, again, into the platform, and then being able to expand as well. So expandability, as you know, is one of our really important pillars. It allows you to do more with the data, and it's no difference with our GM partnership. We'll be able to use a lot of that functionality as well with our expandability platform. As far as the security, we all know how near and dear security is to Geotab, to all of you in the room. No different with any of the partners that we work with. We vet security out with every single partner, so you can be sure that this has the same security standards that you would expect from anything else that we do at Geotab. Also, the advanced analytics. We're doing a lot with big data. I'm sure all of you have been in a lot of sessions seeing what we're doing around big data, analytics tools that are available to you. This General Motor information is no exception to that. That'll be part of the availability in our big data, as well as the insights that we provide to you. So as I mentioned, the power of the platform. We all know how our rules engine and the customization that we offer allows your solution to be different. It allows you to use it for all parts of your business. It allows you to expand. It allows you to integrate with all different types of partners. And that's really the beauty of what this is all about. And again, bringing this data into that platform, you can have all of your assets, all of your mixed fleet, Go devices, including the General Motor OnStar system as well into that one platform, giving everyone choice. We're about choice at Geotab. Neil talks a lot about that. And this is no exception. We want to be able to give you choice in your solutions. So what we're launching today is our phase 1, no different with most of our products that we have at Geotab. We call them MVPs, minimum viable products. They're continuing to enhance, and we'll continue to add features and functionality. So what we're starting with is our phase 1 data that you can see here. And these are just some of the highlights. This is not all the data. You can certainly open some of the links that I have in here for our datasets document to see the full list of data that you'll get. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it is all that rich data that you're used to getting today and more. As I mentioned earlier, because this is proprietary data, we have access to information that sometimes we just can't reverse engineer with the Go device, or it's just not available on the vehicle. So some things like tire pressure, you can get engine speed, RPM, lifetime fuel used, really, really good rich data that we're just not able to capture today for you. This is what's really exciting, moving into our phase 2. I know everyone has heard the last couple days about electric vehicles. It is the future. I've talked with many of you about your EV strategies and programs. This is going to be available in a very short time. I do have a roadmap that I'll show you. Yeah, we're going to get diesel information. We're going to get EV data. It's going to allow us to do the EV suitability study and much, much more. And we're really, really excited to be able to bring that to you. There are some exceptions. Traditionally with a Go device, there's some things that you're used to getting and seeing within our platform, within our system. So I want to be very clear some of the exceptions. As you all know, we have curve algorithm with our Go device, records second by second data, and then we only send through, of course, the relevant data. So it is important to note it is a 30-second data feed. It'll capture data in 30 seconds and send it through. Also, in-cab driver feedback is not available today, but stay tuned. We have something to show you here in a little bit. And because the accelerometer is not like the accelerometer we use, there is going to be some limitation around accident reconstruction. So we will have more follow-up information on what we can do with accident notification as well as accident reconstruction through our system. And then IOX functionality. There is no Go device, right? There's nothing to plug in. So of course with the IOX functionality, you're going to lose some of that. So again, choice, depending on what a customer may need, we want to give them the best solution. Curve logic, that 30-second ping rate will not apply to the curve logic, but I'm going to show you some screenshots. You still get the same rich data. You get your full breadcrumb trail. It's amazing how we're able to stitch this information together within our system and have it look very similar to the look and feel you're used to getting with Geotab today. And finally, the ELD. It's currently not available, but hold tight. It is on the roadmap, and I'll tell you about that right now. So today is the first launch. Like I said, the MVP product, we've been beta testing this. We still have 2 weeks left to finish out the beta, but this is what you'll get with the first phase that you see right here. It will be available to all of you to officially order and start using February 11th. We'll do a deeper dive webinar and give you a little bit more information around that as well, but I'm going to hit most of the highlights today. But you can see all the rich data you're getting. You can still do your IFTA reporting. You can do your speed profile. your watchdog reports, risk management reports, and I'll talk a little bit about how that may differ and some of the tools that we're giving you to make sure that it's the same driver scorecard, same information that you'll get going forward. I mentioned tire pressure, seat belt, battery voltage, hard braking and hard acceleration, again, helping you be able to keep those driver scorecards, risk management profiles, and so forth going forward. So phase 2, and I do have to note this is subject to change. I need to add that to the slide. For some reason, it's not at the bottom. But this is all subject to change. I don't want you to think that this is set in stone. I think we're going to exceed some of these timelines, but some may take a little bit longer. So all subject to change, but API plans, we're really excited to get that up and launching. I know a lot of you use our APIs, so Q2, that'll be available for you. Base plan offering as well. So right now we're only launching with a Pro. We will have a lower entry base program as well that you'll be able to use. Fuel reports. How important is fuel? Extremely important. It's the #1 cost for most fleets. So we're really excited to be able to give you deep, rich, detailed fuel reports as well through this. Def range, personal mode. So privacy, let's talk privacy for just 1 second. I'm not going to get too deep in it, but we all know that privacy with drivers, especially if they take their vehicles home, being able to have that personal mode option is really important. And again, we're striving really hard to make sure that this embedded data is going to give you the same rich quality, data functionality, and features that you get today with the Go device. And as I mentioned, the EV data, that's what we're really excited about too, being able to bring that to you in an embedded solution, turnkey, ready to go. And coming soon, Canada. So we're expecting that possibly within the next 30 days, so you'll be able to have the solution in the US as well as Canada. And I know you have a question. If you don't mind holding it till the end, that'd be great. So yes, we will have availability with the GM solution in US and Canada. Same data set, same features, same functionality. And then get into phase 3. This is going to happen more in Q3 timeframe. We'll have full DTC codes. There are some today. There'll be some in phase 2. But the full diagnostic trouble codes you'll be able to have access to around Q3, as well as all the fault codes. Events and triggers, and then in-cab driver feedback. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. And then beyond Q4, this is where it really gets cool too, right? Remote commands. I know all of you have been asking us, how can I remote command in? How can I do this? How can I do that? That is coming. It is going to take us a little bit more dev work to get there, but really excited to be able to tell you that it is coming and we are working on that. And Kristy can tell you a little bit more about those commands as well. And then service recall notifications. How many of you would love to have service recall notifications? I know when I was a fleet manager, I would have loved it, right? So you'll be able to have that as well. So we're really excited to be able to bring some of these new offerings that we simply just don't have today. So I want to tell you a little bit about how to enroll and activate the program. Again, we will have resource material available for you, so don't feel like you have to take screenshots or notes. Please do if you want to, but we do have all this documentation ready. So the very first thing that has to happen, and this is from the customer must sign the e-sign agreement with General Motors. It's between the end client and General Motors. Most of you have already done this as far as customers. About 70% of General Motors fleet customers have already signed this e-signature. So most of you won't even have to worry about step 1. But if you haven't done that yet, or if you don't know, you can certainly check with your GM representative that you work with. We do have a link here to the e-sign process. You can just click on that and go right through the steps to make that happen. I should note as well, a VIN list. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but in order to know if your vehicles have the embedded solution and have the right technology, we do need to verify your VIN list. So at 2015 and newer vehicles, we would ask you to send your partner, the VIN list, and we'll have that verified to let you know what vehicles are equipped with that hardware. So the second step, again, most of you will eliminate step 1. So kind of think of it as a 3-step process. The first step you only have to do 1 time. So the second step, you have to register. This is what our partner would do. You go into My Admin. You're all used to using My Admin. That's how you order your Go devices. It's how you manage the devices itself to terminate, turn them on, change the plans. You'll go into My Admin. You're going to order a third-party hardware device in My Admin, and then you'll add those serial numbers into the system, and then the customer needs to authorize through an OEM Addin, and I have another screen that's going to talk a little bit more about that. But one thing I will note, there is another step sometimes that needs to be taken, and that is to activate that blue OnStar button. If you've done it before, you probably don't need to make this step. Through our VIN validation, we'll let you know if that step's needed or not. Again, trying to assist you, make it very easy. So here it's a little deeper dive into the process. I won't go too far into the first one. I've already talked about that. Second one, as I mentioned, the partner, your partner, all of our resellers will go into My Admin. There's a special product code. So whenever you go to order a GM device, you can see the product code that's listed there. There is a list down too, so don't feel like you need to memorize that, but I know you're going to end up memorizing it, and it'll just become second nature to you when you go in to order these devices. Then once you put that code in, it will download a CSV file. That's going to give you the new serial numbers, right? Everyone's used to using a Go device serial number. You plug it in, it automatically knows the VIN. This will give you the serial number, but it's not going to know the VIN. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too, because this is an important step. This is a step that most people seem to miss. And I know when we've been going through our beta, they don't see the data and they ask why. I go back and look, they never included the VIN. Again, because we're also used to plugging in a Go device and it automatically recognizes the VIN. In this case, you have to assign the serial number of the device to the VIN. Very simple to do. It's an Excel file, upload it into the system. Then the last and final phase, there is an OEM Addin, and this will be used for other OEMs as well, but you download the add-in one time, and then you just go in and select what OEM that you want to activate. You put in the VIN numbers, and the end customer does need to use their FAN code. Okay, very important. Each fleet customer has a FAN code with General Motors. It's how they order vehicles. It ties everything into their account. So they do need their FAN code to be able to activate this. So you download the add-in one time, and then you can easily just go in and add those VINs in that FAN code. That's what connects the vehicle through GM. We'll talk a little bit more about the phase 1 data and what's yet to come. Starting out here, as I mentioned, we have a lot of material for you, a lot of documentation. We do have a specific watchdog report that will show you just the GM vehicles, trips history report, all the great reports that you're used to getting, even sample exception rules. So most of you that use your driver risk scorecard, we do need to change some of the coding, right? Some of the codes are different that we're getting from General Motors, so you're going to have to also change a little bit of the coding. We made it easy for you, copy, paste, boom. Everything works just like you're used to seeing it within your driver profiles today. Also, I'll note about APIs. It is the same API call. You use the same SDK. We have a third-party hardware area in our SDK as well. If you're not familiar with it, you can look at that to do a little bit more with the APIs as well. And we have a whole session on SDK. And I'm not the one you need to ask questions about that. That's somebody else for sure. This little bit of screenshots of what it looks like within the platform. Traditional watchdog report, all the GM data is still going to come in there. You don't have to worry about downloading the specific GM report. But if you want to be able to just track those General Motor vehicles and make sure they're communicating, if they're not communicating, how many days, maybe it's because the vehicle hasn't started or gone anywhere, maybe there's a problem with connectivity or the communication of the device. So you can have a separate report or just keep your traditional watchdog report and everything will still flow through there. Breadcrumb trail. I know how important trips histories are. We can do so much with trip data, utilization of the vehicle, where are my drivers, can I get another job done today? So this breadcrumb trail is really, really important, and all the trips history data that we get, you can see here, you're getting all the granular road movements, where they're heading to, all the trip stops, etc. And then you can get into the more detail of the trips history report like you're used to seeing. It'll show you the address, it'll timestamp. It'll give you how long they've been stopped, how long they've been idling at a certain location. You'll be able to see the driving time and the distance traveled. Again, this is that powerful, rich data that's going to be able to allow you to do your optimization, vehicle usage, utilization, all those great tools that are within the system as well. This is just showing you an example of rules applied. I know how important rules are to all of you. We have our custom rules engine. It's really what makes our system powerful and very unique and customized to the customer's need. So with this as well, those notifications will still come through. They pop up within the software just like you're used to seeing. You can do text messages, pop-up notifications in the system. Nothing changes in that regard. It's all still the same. And exception events as well. Everything will populate. You'll be able to report. You can see all the information as well. Device number, location, all the details from those exception reports, how you have them coded and named, date, time, all that good stuff in there as well. And engine measurement, so a really important tool that I know a lot of you use as well, especially for predictive analytics, predictive maintenance, things along that lines. This is still available there too. I do have some screenshots here to show you. This is the data we're getting today again in phase 1. So you may see some things missing that you're traditionally used to seeing with a Go device. They will be coming and be populated as we go through our phase 2 and phase 3. We're continually evolving. I should just say there's phases forever because it'll never be done at phase 4. We're going to continue to enhance and evolve these products. But same thing, you can still do drill downs, see time, date stamps, you can see fluid levels moving up and down, the voltage of the battery crank, all that good information. So plans and support, we'll talk a little bit about what that is. I do have a hyperlink in here that you can go to the data set feature. It'll show you all the data that's available in the plan, just like you're used to seeing with the plan comparison chart from the Go device. Today, there is only one plan. It is a Pro plan, a GM Pro. As I mentioned earlier, it is a 30-second ping rate, and the data is sent to the server every 2 minutes. However, there are commands that happen on trigger, right? So seatbelt, hard braking, acceleration, diagnostic codes. Those are events that will come through if you set up a rule, something that you want to be alerted on, they'll come through instantaneously. You don't have to wait for 30 seconds or for the 2-minute load. So you can still do all your instant driver risk management assessment. So as far as some FAQs, these are some things that we've been hearing during our beta test that people really don't understand and want to know a little bit more about because it is different than our traditional offerings. So billing begins at the moment the device is added to my Geotab. Makes it easy. It's kind of similar to what we do today. And you start receiving that data from those connected services the minute you put it into the system. You can also terminate at any time. No suspend mode with this. I get asked that question a lot. What if I want to suspend it? You just deactivate it. You terminate it like you typically do. If you want to turn it back on 3 months later, great. You just go in and re-enroll. No fee, no charges for that. Makes it really nice and easy to turn on, turn off. You can test it out if you want to, turn it back off, and then turn it on a few months later. Cellular connectivity is currently provided by AT&T Network in the US. It will roam in Canada, and there's no roaming agreement today in Mexico or Puerto Rico. Just need to be clear on that as well. And as I mentioned earlier, accident reconstruction will be limited. There's more to come on that. We have to do a lot of testing, understand the codes, what that means within our system as well. We'll try to replicate our accident reconstruction as close as we can. I know it's extremely important to many of you in this room. It is one of our differentiators at Geotab, so we will do everything we can in our dev team to try to make that as similar and as close as we can with what you're experiencing today. Support stays the same. Nothing changes. Whatever your support process is today, follow that support process. And for all of the resellers in the room, all of our partners, open a support ticket. Just follow that process, nothing changes. We do have an email for gm@geotab.com. Any questions, certainly send us an email, but I will ask you, if there's no communication, something's going wrong, what have you, follow your traditional support system. Hardware warranty. So the warranty for this particular module will follow the vehicle warranty. So whatever your traditional warranty program is, it's covered under your traditional warranty. So if there is a problem, we will first, through the support team, troubleshoot. If we find that it's not a software issue, it doesn't seem to be a connectivity issue, you have to take that vehicle back. Our support team has troubleshooting protocols with GM support team. We'll determine for you if that vehicle needs to go back to an authorized General Motors dealer to have it replaced. And then the end user agreement, nothing changes, right? There's already a third-party hardware terms in there, no new user agreement, no new partner agreement, everything's business as usual in that regard. And then I do have a link here to the GM Fleet Connected Vehicles page as well if you want to go in and learn more about the different vehicles that this is offered on, et cetera. So some support documents that we have, I mentioned earlier about the e-signature that's needed through General Motors. This is a General Motors link, but we do have that available for the clients. They're the ones that do need to fill that out. It's not the partner on their behalf, it is the actual end user that needs to do that. As noted, most fleets have already completed that process. I do also have some instructions here for that blue button OnStar press. So if that has never been done at the time of purchase of the vehicle or through the life of the vehicle to that point, that system does need to be done, and it's really just pressing a button. It's quick, easy to do, but we do have documentation there if you'd want to be able to provide that to your driver. And then the data plan, that's going to give you the nice side-by-side comparison of what you get, what data sets are available With the GM Pro plan, again, we only have Pro starting. Eventually, we will have a base as well that we'll add to this data set. And we do have an OEM Configuration add-in, as I mentioned earlier, so I do have a link to that. It's in our marketplace, just like all of our other add-ins are there. It's a free add-in, so nothing unusual there on that. And again, this will be used for other OEMs. A lot of our assets are going to have to go through the same add-in. So once you add it in one time, it's all you need to do. And a user guide. This user guide is geared more towards our customers. We do have a reseller guide as well that gives you a little bit more information on troubleshooting and so forth. But the user guide is for the end customer to be able to understand the data, has all these hyperlinks in here as well within the user guide. And then we do have those sample rules that I mentioned earlier. There is some coding that needs to change depending on the risk management. Seatbelt is one thing that I can tell you. You do have to change the code in order to get the seatbelt data. And we'll do deeper dive sessions with each of you that are interested. Melissa and I, we have a team. Kevin, Puneet, we've got a team of people. We've been meeting with some of you in advance, but now that this is officially announced, right now probably the press release is going out. So we'll certainly meet with you one-on-one, meet with you and your customers, and we can go through these processes a little bit deeper. This is just a high level to get you to understand. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have an email, gm@geotab.com. Goes to an entire team that will be able to help and support you. And with that, I'm going to bring up now Kristy Lightfoot with General Motors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not going to go too far.
Good afternoon. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here because, like Sherry said, we've been working on this partnership for some time. And I know we have a lot of mutual customers that love the Geotab platform, and they love what the GM connected vehicle brings. And so to be able to bring all those synergies together and offer you a comprehensive solution, I think is going to be a win-win for everybody. And then hopefully for those of you that haven't had the experience, this will give you some insight and open your eyes to other possibilities, right? So my name's Kristy Lightfoot, and I've been with General Motors for 29 years. I started in kindergarten. Don't let anybody tell you different. And I've had a variety of experiences throughout the corporation. But I have to say, by far, working with the OnStar team and then very closely integrated with our GM fleet and commercial team so that we are to our customers, we're one team all together. So we're all working to try and bring the right solution to those customers using our expertise in different areas. I wanted to spend the time that I have with you to talk about what's different, right? So everybody's familiar with what you get today, right? You get oil life, and you get different types of insights, speed and location. But why is General Motors different? What is OnStar able to do that maybe you can't get through a device today? So that's really what I wanted to spend more time on, and then hit on some of the high points. So first of all, 24 years of connected vehicle experience. So that's when OnStar was launched in 1996. And so we've had a lot of years to kind of fine tune. Hasn't always been easy, right? We've had hit a lot of speed bumps, but we have had experience for some time where I know some other people are just starting to get into this space. So not only experience from an OnStar services standpoint, but we've also been in the API connected vehicle commercial space since about 2015, okay? So we've, again, had another 4 or 5 years to kind of get some learning experience under our belt, understand what works, what isn't necessarily working, and how can we be better, right? And it's a little bit of a different approach for GM or OnStar because now we're a supplier, we're not the customer anymore, right? And so it's been a different mindset change. But really, we know the only way we will be successful is by listening to our customer and our partners. So our end customers that buy GM vehicles, and then our partners, such as Geotab, because they're the ones that are actually gonna tell us what we should be working on so we can give you the best product possible to meet all of your needs. Embedded hardware, Sherry touched on it in the beginning, but and nothing against the Go device, Sherry, I think it's amazing, but I've never met a fleet manager that says, oh yeah, I want to manage hardware, pick me. Like nobody says that because they don't want to have to maybe pay for an additional device or pay for installation or then track it, right, and replace it and so forth. So I think because our hardware is installed in the factory, it is connected to all the different modules within the vehicle. So when you think about like opportunities, right, what we get today, but what might we need in the future, and now we've got integration into the vehicle to be able to kind of get some of that rich data that we might not even know what we'll do with it yet, right? But we have the opportunity now because we're embedded into the vehicle. And then warranty, covered again under the GM warranty, but because we've been doing this with OnStar for 24 years, they wouldn't let me put a warranty rate up there. A very low claim rate, like 0.25% low in that region, right? So think about taking your vehicle off the road, right? If you've got to change a device or you have to fix some hardware, you're taking that revenue generating asset off the road and doing some maybe non-value added work where if you don't have to worry about that, now you've got an opportunity to maybe see another customer, right? And bill another, and send another invoice. So I think that right there is another advantage that we have. Some of our differentiating features and services, true odometer. So coming right from the vehicle, you don't have to worry about somebody inputting it in the beginning and maybe doing it incorrectly. You don't have to worry about getting it from other areas, maybe a fuel card or something like that, where maybe that information isn't always manually accurate. Now it is coming right from the vehicle, and that's pretty important to many people for a variety of different reasons. Tire pressure, right? And then what does General Motors recommend that tire pressure should be? Because it's different. And so we give both of those data sets. And then, I've talked to different fleet managers around the country, and when you bring up tire pressure, they're like, oh yeah, that would be nice, right? But when you think about how insightful that information can be and how it can help you maybe reach some of your safety and efficiency goals, right? And yesterday, Neil spoke about those are, a couple of pillars of Geotabs. And when you have the right tire pressure, you get better fuel economy, right? When you have the right tire pressure, maybe you avoid an accident that you could have prevented. You get the right tire pressure, and you're not getting abnormal wear patterns. So maybe I'm not replacing tires as frequently as I could. And if there are any tire manufacturers in the audience, I apologize. But so you can see where you can kind of use that data for a variety of different areas and save money and keep people safer. Like, that's a great insight that really hasn't been available prior to today. Change in fuel level. You might have a fuel card and it might tell you how much was charged and how many gallons, right? But do you know all that fuel went in the vehicle? Do you know that was the vehicle that was at the location where it was being fueled? So by getting some of these data elements and tying it all back together, we can tell you how many gallons went in your vehicle, that specific vehicle, right? Electric vehicle APIs. So we've been working together, and I know it's scheduled for a Q2 launch, but there is a big push right now in the EV space, and where it might have been a little flat, it's going to start ramping up rather quickly over the next 2 to 5 years. And so it's like the chicken or the egg, do we invest resources when there's not really a lot of volume? And Geotab's investing resources, and so has General Motors. And so today we have a full offering of EV APIs available. I know Geotab's testing them. So far, they said it's a very comprehensive list where, we've talked to some customers and they've shared with us what they need to know, and we have the data and the insights to support all of those EV needs right now. And again, we are open communication with all of our partners. So if there is an insight or if there's information you need, we're going to take that back and work hard to be able to bring that to the customer so that, again, we can make that more comprehensive and meaningful for you. Automatic crash response notification and theft alert notification. So for those of you that have heard of OnStar before, that's kind of what we were founded on, right? Safety and security, keeping the driver safe in some emergency situations. And so we now have the capability through an API, if you have a paid OnStar subscription, and I don't want to scare you, If you have a paid OnStar subscription, we can give you some really rich information when there is a crash that takes place. So what happens is the vehicle will notify OnStar, and then one of the emergency medical dispatch trained advisors calls in, helps your driver. At the same time, that information would be then sent back to Geotab that can tell you maximum delta V, date, time, location. Was it a potential rollover? Were there multiple points of impact? Were the seatbelt pretensioners engaged? Was an airbag deployed? All of that information that really can help support your safety culture within your organization. And then you can take next steps to maybe contact in case of emergency, or work to recover the vehicle so you don't get extra storage fees, or whatever that looks like for you. But that's information available, as well as theft notification. So there are sensors in the vehicle, and when some of those are triggered, when you have an individual possibly trying to steal it, it will trigger an event and get that information out immediately, so then you can take action. Diagnostic trouble codes. So not only will we give you all the fault codes, but we'll tell you level of severity and then what's the recommended course of action. So sometimes you might get a code and say, that's great, but what do I do with this information, right? So we'll tell you this is what we would recommend to keep your driver safe and to keep the vehicle from some further damage being done. Remote commands, Sherry alluded to that, that's on the roadmap, but I haven't met a truck or a van driver that doesn't like to lock their keys in the vehicle. And so OnStar now, not only do you have the capability of calling and talking to one of our advisors who can, after they validate that you're authorized to do it, they can unlock the door. It takes about 15 seconds. But Geotab will have access to those remote commands as well. So they can lock and unlock doors, honk the horn, flash the lights. They can remote start and stop if the vehicle is equipped with that kind of technology. So if you want to warm all your fleet up before people come in and take off for a job, you have the ability to do that remotely. And then the remote vehicle disable and enable, which is an ignition block, right? So even if you have the keys, you can't start the vehicle if there's an ignition block that's been put on it. So all of that capability, which depending on your fleet needs, might fit in with some areas and allow you to be more efficient. And again, support the safety culture within your organization, especially if someone's locked out of their vehicle and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's cold and lots of conditions that you can see where, oops. Oh, did I do that? Okay, where that might apply. Wi-Fi API. So AT&T is our data provider, and if your vehicle is equipped with OnStar, it is also a mobile hotspot. So you can purchase a data plan through AT&T, and then you have the ability to have Wi-Fi in your vehicle. So if that's a mobile office for you or your customers, now you have the ability to leverage that 4G LTE connection. And because of the external antenna on the vehicle, it is a stronger signal strength than you would typically get with a cell phone. We also have the ability through an API to be able to turn that on and off. So instead of just leaving it open, we have some customers that say, hey, I only want to give it to my drivers from 8 to 5, and I don't want them using it on the weekends and at night and for family trips. So we have the ability to kind of turn that on and off, and Geotab will have that capability as well. And then service recall notification. So we can send you notification if one of your VINs has an open service recall, and then we're working on being able to tell you when that recall's been closed as well. Couple things here I just wanted to talk about, and that is in regards to what can you do to be successful, right? To set yourself up to be successful. Sherry hit on it in the beginning. Sign the terms and conditions. You only have to do it one time per fan, which is a fleet account number. So once you do it once, then you're good to go. And then all vehicles that are shipped from the factory are in a connected state. Even if the vehicle, and you get the OnStar trial. So even if that vehicle is being shipped, I had a case once where it was stolen while it was being offloaded on one of the trucks, but because it was connected, we were able to work with law enforcement and recover the vehicle, okay? So you do get access to the trials as well. And sign the terms and conditions, and then all of our vehicles, it's most 2015 forward vehicles are equipped if it has the OnStar hardware, except the work truck. So if you buy that base level work truck, right, which is like typically the lowest trim level, you have to add OnStar when you're ordering it. And that's really important because of that integration at the factory. When they're building the vehicle, you can't retrofit the hardware. So that's really important. So if you're working with upfitters that you get vehicles from, or through certain dealers, or with your FMC, just to make sure that you spec the vehicles with that additional code, and then you set yourself up to have options. And you don't have to buy an OnStar subscription, okay? We just need a connection to the vehicle, which is no cost. But we do have OnStar subscriptions available. So if, some of those safety and security services that we're able to provide, the stolen vehicle assistance and the crash response and so forth, we have some low-cost fleet specific packages that are available to our fan customers. And then, so we have an opportunity if you want to leverage that in, but it's not required to have the Geotab solution. Wanted to share with you, kind of a little short-term roadmap, pre-delivery. So, does anyone ever wonder where their vehicle is when it leaves the factory, and then it goes, you're not really sure where it's at until the dealer says, oh, okay, it's here, you guys can come pick it up, or, it's to deliver it. So we now, with OnStar in the vehicle, we'll have the ability to provide you location at every ignition off, while it's kind of in that cycle before it gets delivered. And delivered for me is when the dealer, sends that delivery record and says, okay, it's been delivered to this customer, and then we create an account, okay? Now, before that account's created, you can have some insight into where that vehicle might be located. Theft alert notification, I kind of mentioned that earlier. In-vehicle coaching. So I don't know, in-cab alerts, in-vehicle coaching, kind of the same type of thing. And that is a service that we're working on right now, and we're planning to launch it in May of this year. So I'm going to give you a little demo here and tell you a little bit more about it in the next slide. And then full-size truck brake pad monitor. So, the truck is kind of like the poster child for fleet vehicle, right? And so today, it is only available in GM full-size trucks, but there is a cadence where it will be rolled out against other makes and models over the next few years. But in the vehicle today, model year 2019 light-duty vehicles, in the driver information center, if you kind of toggle through all those screens, you can see what the remaining brake pad life is on that truck. But most fleet drivers, because it's not their vehicle, they don't really have a vested interest in monitoring the brakes, right? And as somebody managing that fleet, you want that data. So we're working to be able to extract that out of the vehicle, and then to include it as a data element in the telemetry feed that we will be able to provide to Sherry. So, if you can kind of plan that maintenance and then avoid extra installation time or replacing the rotors, you can see where that could be a pretty powerful insight and be able to help, save some money, especially for a truck fleet. So in-vehicle coaching, it's also been called in-cab alerts. And this is something, that we've gone out and tried to get the voice of the customer, right? And what are some services that they feel would help them change driver behavior, for all of these reasons. If you're coaching someone, it's kind of perceived as more of a positive, right? And then also, if you have telematics and you're telling someone, hey, you were harsh braking twice yesterday and harsh accelerating once. And you're like, hey, I drove great yesterday. I don't even know what you're talking about, right? But then in the moment when that event occurs, and now to give you that real life feedback, that changes people's behavior. And I can speak from experience because I had the pilot in my vehicle. I didn't like it, but guess what? I was a better driver because I didn't want anyone thinking I wasn't, right? I didn't want to listen to that noise. I didn't want the feedback. And I didn't want it perceived that I wasn't a good driver. So I changed my behavior, right? So I'm going to kind of pull a little audible. Jeff, don't take it from me. We reach out to our customers and ask for their feedback. And Jeff, if you could just share what your impression of in-cab alerts would be, or in-vehicle coaching, and if that makes a difference on your safety objectives.
We have to do that. We will drivers curb their behavior. They don't like it, like as you suggested, but it's definitely curbed their behavior. So with that, fuel costs go down, mileage goes down, maintenance goes down, and obviously safety goes up. And I can validate that the communication that we've had with you guys over the last little while has been really good to help you to help us.
Mm-hmm. And you have this in your entire fleet today, right?
For our missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have about 10,000 vehicles equipped with telematics to coach them.
Great.
It's been pretty significant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the objective is to be able to give this type of service, but no hardware, no extra hardware, right? So leveraging the OnStar module in the connected vehicle capabilities. So just like Jeff shared, reduce accidents, keep drivers safe, vehicles on the road, and then reporting that goes along with it. So it's an audible message, right? So it's not a beep. You don't have to wonder what you did or why they're telling you. It tells you what you did, and then if you don't want to hear it again, then you just don't do it again, right? Some of the differentiators that we have that maybe some other products don't have, again, no hardware required. We know that when you're on the highway, you might drive a little bit different than you do on a surface street, right? Because sometimes you're like a hazard if you're not able to go with the flow. So we have the ability to set two different thresholds. One, if the posted speed limit is 55 or higher, we're considering that highway, and you can set a threshold before an alert is triggered, right? But then we have one, if it's below 55, you can set perhaps a lower threshold to keep your drivers a little bit more conservative on surface streets. And then driver seatbelt notification. So typically if it's software in a device today, you might not be getting that type of alert. We're going to be launching with driver seatbelt with passenger seatbelt on our roadmap for future enhancements. And then Sherry, if you could help me, I'm just going to let you do a quick little demo of what it would sound like, what your driver would hear. It worked earlier.
Let's try this again. No? I swear, before you all got in here, this worked.
Hard acceleration detected. Hard braking detected. Speeding detected. Driving without your seatbelt detected. Okay? I'm pretty close. And then, also there's a maximum threshold for speed. So, we've talked to a lot of fleets and they're like, if someone's going 90, like that's a no-go for us. We want to know because that's really dangerous. So you can set a maximum speed as well, and that's one of the features. So, no, that's okay. That was it. So with that, I think we can take questions and answers, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I know you've got them. There we go. Randy.
Where are the UI settings managed for the audible coaching? Is that in the GM UI or is it in my Geotab UI?
It would be through my Geotab. Absolutely.
So that
Same thing what you
coaching
did today.
settings would be configurable.
So right now we're planning GM or OnStar. We're planning to have this available in May, right? And then, but we're working with, Geotab so that they have an integration. So then they're going to be able to also offer it to customers. And Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plan is it can also be a standalone, right? Because I know there's some fleets that maybe haven't bought into telematics necessarily, but they still want that coaching because they know it's going to help meet some of their objectives. And it's a little softer approach than maybe full adoption.
It does not require an OnStar subscription.
No. Nope.
Is the audio being delivered through the,
Oh, sorry.
is the audio being delivered through the sound system of the vehicle?
Yes.
And does it override, the radio or all those
Yes.
other things? Okay.
Yes.
That's great.
Even if I believe you're on hands-free calling, it will come through. So there's a big incentive not to speed while you're on a conference call with your boss. Yeah.
Another devices from the marketplace, maybe cameras and another things in the vehicles.
Yeah, anything that would not require a hardware add-in into iOS, yes, it would be compatible. Now, we may have some dev work to do, so I don't want to say all the marketplace add-ins, software applications are going to work right out the gate. We might have to tweak a few things, but yes, that will be the ultimate goal. Many things work right out of the box today.
So can you retrofit if we want to use this for our existing older model GM vehicles inventory?
Unfortunately, we cannot retrofit because of the integration during the manufacturing process. So no, we don't have that capability, but the OnStar module is standard on all GM vehicles manufactured in North America. There's a couple joint ventures that currently do not have the capability to integrate that in, but it is available even on the new medium duty that we just released. You have to add it to the work truck trim level like I spoke of, but it is available on the LT. So yeah, unfortunately you can't.
Any other questions? Yes, one up here.
What's your timeline for Canada?
So Canada, we work hand in hand with them. And so, I know Sherry's working very diligently.
We're finalizing the agreement. So I'm 30-ish days, 30 to 60 days, it would be available.
So,
same data sets, everything we've just talked about. I'm not 100% certain, though, on the audio portion of the driver feedback. That will be the same in Canada as well, right?
Yeah, that's got some different launch dates as well. So we're going to be launching in North America or in the United States, and then we'll add, and then Canada will follow with that service as well.
Sorry, he had one follow-up.
Like for the Canadian customers, do you have to have data enabled with your onboard SIM card, or is it something that could work aside from that? Because the data rates in Canada are quite a bit different than in the US.
It is my understanding there are no additional data charges required.
That's correct.
Could you clarify what, if any, we could expect when outside of cellular coverage, as far as would any data be saved like there is on the Go9 device?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you know, I mean, I know we have that in our documentation. I don't remember offhand.
Right. So like I said, we are able to collect data, because of the connectivity in the vehicle. We do get a signal in many places where you might not otherwise. But if you are in an area, then we do store it. And then once you go into cellular coverage, then that information is sent and populated.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, one up here. Wait, microphone.
With firmware upgrades, will the Go9 at some point in the future be able to do similar, if not exactly the same, that the integrated devices are capable of?
That's a big question. Yes, I mean, you heard some new announcements today, right? We have, well, there's a lot of new features and functionality, of course, we're always coming out with our new product. We're going to continue to build our hardware. We're going to continue to, enhance it and create new functionality. Will it be the same of what you saw today? Who knows, right? I can't give you all of that, but yes, I mean, we're continuing to add Wi-Fi and, different things like that to our device.
Specifically in that vein, because GM now has provided all of the information that's coming out of their onboard computer, will Geotab still be diligently going after the various codes and the ability to read the GM product? Or is this now going to be relaxed because of the new?
No, reverse engineering is still very near and dear to our hearts. We make sure in all of our contracts with any OEM that we're able to still maintain that. Good question.
How about normalizing the data between, like, if you've got half your fleet on a Go 9 device and half of the OEM data coming in?
I can't see where it's coming from either.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, that's the beauty of what we do at Geotab, right? All different third-party hardware that's coming in, whether it's GM or another OEM, it's all normalized. One API call, same data. If you're looking for seatbelt, it looks all the same in a system. You'd never know the difference, other than maybe some of the data sets, right? Because each OEM that we work with does have different capabilities, so that would vary. But yes, it's all going to look the same in a system.
Over here. So, yeah, we talked about Canada and the U.S. being fairly closely linked on launch dates. What insight could you give on other markets across the world, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Europe?
So the US and Canada, as you said, Mexico will probably be next. We do have OnStar in South America that we recently launched. The Middle East is probably after that. And then we're in discussions with Asia. And we also have OnStar in China only. So, and China has our APIs as well.
Anything else?
Great. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.